What is Berget? The short answer, Berget is a Swedish milsim that goes on for 66 hours where 1800 players play on a big field with multiple vehicles. But what makes Berget special? And in this video, I'm gonna tell you what Berget is.
Lift the mic, okay. 6 cars coming this way.
Yeah, we check all the cars.
60 meters forward.
Both sides, organize yourself! Run for friendly fire! Guys,
That's all fine.
moving, go, go! Get them out, boys! Get them out! Come on, guys! The vehicle and jump!
Hello and welcome to the channel. Now the question, what is Berget, has been asked to me so many times that I decided to make a video about it. Well, this and a friend advised me to make a video about it. So in this week's video, I'm gonna explain you what Berget is to me, what Berget is, and what makes Berget special. Now Berget falls into the category of milsim games with a subcategory as a big game, as I call them. I made a video about different types of airsoft games that you can find somewhere on a link here above, but I tried to categorize the events a little bit more so it's more clear what we're talking about. Now I will make different videos about different events and I'm going to start off with the Berget one. Now I'm still thinking on how I'm going to do this format with the events because there are a few important things that you need to know if you go to an event, but there are some things that are special to Berget or any other event. So if you got any suggestions or you think that I forgot something, let me know in the comments so I can add it in the next video. Now this video will be split up in a few different categories. I will go over them shortly, and at the end of the video there will be a short summary with some numbers about things that are special to certain events. Now the first thing is gameplay. Berget can be described as mission or story-driven gameplay, which means that there is a main storyline with different missions that drive the both teams to complete those missions. The story usually goes on for 2 to 3 years depending on the storyline, and that's really interesting because that storyline is continuing over a few years. When there is no event, people still talk about what was going on and how things might proceed, and Berget crew always keep the story going where it left off the last year, which is really interesting and creates a special vibe for the people that are coming back to that same storyline. Next up, a location. Now the location where Berget is taking place, that has been changing for different locations during the years. Like Berget, it's its 18th edition and they have been on different locations. I have been playing on 2 different locations. That was Harnosand and Sollefteå. Harnosand was an amazing field, but that was not good for mechanized, and now they are moving mostly to Sollefteå where there is a better road infrastructure where the vehicles can do a little bit more. Both fields are about 12 square kilometers big, woodland environments with some buildings or bunkers, and both fields have different areas of vegetation across their fields. Now what's the duration of the Berget game itself? Well, you start at Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the evening and you stop the Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But you can't forget that during the Wednesday you are preparing a lot of stuff and that you will not sleep a lot. And there is a lot going on the Wednesday. You have the chrono, you have to prepare your tactical stuff, you have to prepare your team. So there is a lot of things going on. So actually you're playing a little bit more than 66 hours, but the game on time 6 hours. And also after the game there is the grill party where you can meet your enemy and your friendly people that you not have seen for a year, and you have a nice drink and enjoy your evening. The teams, well, there are 2 big teams on Berget, that's the red and the blue. The names are changing depending on the storyline, and sometimes you have a yellow team. Now the third team, that's usually a mercenary team or another special team, and Berget uses that usually as a balancing team if one team is dominating to help the other team to get back on their feet. But usually there are 2 big teams playing against each other. There are also civilians, but they are not really active playing, but that's about the LARPing, and I come to that in a bit. Now, team recognition is done with an armband, and there is also camouflage pattern. The blue ones have the newer camouflages, the red one has the older camouflages, and the armband has to be like 11 centimeters wide, so it's really clearly visible which team you are in. Also, the team is divided in different factions. You can see that on the website. For this year, you have Fuentes Militia and GCT Black Ops. If you go to Fuentes Militia, you can see that you have infantry, mechanized, cobras, engineers, and sapper units, and GCT has infantry, mechanized, special forces, and scout and reconnaissance. The Cult of Crows, that's the yellow team that I spoke about, has cult members and cult fanatics. Every unit within that team has a special role. I'm not going to go over that. You can find it on the website for more information. But infantry is like walking people, mechanized is the driving people, the sappers are the engineer people, and the cobras are the special people. And that is the same with the blue team. They also have different roles within their unit. Next up is vehicles. Yes, Berget allows vehicles in their game. Usually there are around 40 different vehicles that are divided between the 2 or 3 teams, and there are also 2 or 3 tracked vehicles depending on how many tracked vehicles are brought in by the players. Usually there are 2 big Swedish, I don't know, personnel carriers. They are not tanks, but they make them look like tanks. They have a big turret on the top, and they are amazing to have that vibe when there is a tracked vehicle passing next to you. Those vehicles are classed into 3 different classes. You got class 1, 3, and 5. That means that you got 1 hit point, 3 hit points, or 5 hit points. Depending on what vehicle that you're bringing, you will get more hit points. Now the hit points are depending on the vehicle. If you got a simple car, that's 1 hit point. If you got an armored car, that's 3 hit points. If you got a tank or a really big truck, that's 5 hit points. Now vehicles are taken out by a special laser system, but I'm coming to that later on in the video. Next up, LARP. Like I said, there is some LARP in Berget, and LARP is for the people that want to LARP, and if you want to LARP, please choose a unit where LARP is in the unit description. LARPing is communicating with the people, with the civilians, the mercenaries, the other team. If you captured somebody, you have to LARP with them to get some information out of it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You just say, I don't want to LARP, I will give you all my information. Now for me, the LARPing element is something that makes Berget special, because that LARPing element is a storyline driven thing that is happening next to all the other thing that is happening. And if you talk to somebody, a civilian or whatever, you can play in character, and you can buy drinks, you can communicate with them, you can take them to your side, and LARPing is for me what makes Berget so great. So I always try to choose a unit where there is some LARP thingies going on, because the interaction with other people is just amazing. Now something that is not game related, but that's important for the people that are going to an event: on-site purchases. Like, there is always a shop in the safe zone, but the safe zone is not in the base. So if you want to buy some gear, some BBs, some gas, you have to go to the safe zone, and there is a shop there that sells some basic stuff. Now prepare to not having to go to that shop, bring all your stuff with you, but that shop is interesting and it's good for having as a backup if you broke something or you forgot something. Now food wise, there are kiosks in the base where you can buy burgers, fries, drinks, coffee, tea, whatever. A lot of different options to eat and drink something in the base, so you will not be hungry. Now food wise, there is also the option to buy some food when you buy your ticket, and then also that food will be delivered to your base when it's time to eat. And besides the game, you also have the people that are making the game. That is the marshal and the crew. And the crew is mostly present during the big battles. They are present in the base and in the safe zone. But be aware that there will not always be crew around, because you are playing on a really big field and they cannot be everywhere. But they have a phone number, and it's written in a book that you can always have with you. So if you have an emergency, just call them and they will be there to help you out. And before the game, you can also go to their forum if you have any questions, but be aware, Berget is not the fastest crew to respond, but they will respond eventually. Now another important thing is, how much does it cost to go to Berget? Now the ticket price is one thing, but you also need to keep in mind that there is a cost to get to that event and having your meals and all that extra stuff that comes to going to a bigger milsim game. Now the ticket price is depending on when you buy the ticket. If you are a fast person and you buy it on the first night, you get a discount. I can't remember how much it was because we already bought it. I looked up the website and it's not on there anymore, but I think it's like 20-30 euros that you have a discount if you buy it on the first night. So I think about 129 euros on the first night, and then the next month it's 10 euros extra, and then the end price is 159 euros if you are a slow person to buy that ticket. Now in that ticket there are a few things included, but there are a lot of things not included. Like if you want food, like I said, you can pay for that. If you want buffs, that's the system that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And if you want transportation, armbands, maps, and BBs and gas, that is something that you can buy while buying your ticket, but that will be added to the fee of the ticket itself. But the basic ticket is 159 euros at the most expensive time that you can buy it. For us as Belgians, it costs me about 500 euros to go to Berget. Like that's transportation, food, the ticket, and everything that is around Berget. That cost me 500 euros. Now in the 500 euro is not included is my gear that I will already have, or my camping stuff. It's all the consumables that I need to go to the event and that I will use during the event. And those are the different categories that I wanted to talk about, but I also wanted to make a special category because some events have special things, and this is also the case for Berget. And one of those special things is their buffs system. Now the buff system is to destroy the vehicles that are in game, and that is done with a laser beam. Now the laser beam is shot from 3 different projectiles. That is the 40mm grenade, that is shot from a M203 launcher, that is the 84, that is a standalone thingy that you can put on your shoulder and shoot, and there is a tow launcher that is usually mounted on a tripod or on a vehicle. All the systems have different hit points, and yeah, it's logical that the 40mm is the least and the tow launcher is the biggest. And then depending on what vehicle you're shooting at, you will destroy it or you will damage it. Now it's a really cool system to play around with because you have the 84, that's a dedicated thing to shoot at vehicles. The problem for me is that the range of the weapons changes a lot during the day and the nighttime because it's a laser beam that you shoot. And another thing is that you cannot destroy an enemy car with just shooting at it, which is a little bit annoying from time to time. Next up is drones. Berget used drones for the first time, and they are not just the 4 quad drones, no, they are airplanes going over the base with an IR beam that can destroy vehicles. And there are SAM sites that you can shoot the drone out of the air with, and that creates a different atmosphere because now you don't have to look in front of you, but you also have to look to the sky and listen to what can go happen in the sky when you are doing some missions. And then the third thing is the live map, which is pretty cool. Even from the first Berget, they were using a live map with different push buttons that were scattered all over the field. And you had a live map where you can see what was going on during the game. And to my knowledge, Berget was one of the first bigger organizers that used that system. So yeah, that was really cool to see that being used in a bigger game. But you can basically see anything that is going on the map. The points are changing, the areas are changing color. So as a soldier or a squad leader, you can know what is going on by just going to your platoon leader and asking to bring up the map, and then you can see what is going on. That's important for respawn, that is important for missions. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing that they have, and it's really cool that they use it like that. Now what makes Berget special for me? Because of all the different factions, because all of the other things that are going on during the game, you are a small part of something bigger, and this is really amazing. You can make a difference as a soldier, as a platoon leader, as a general, but you can also make a difference as a civilian, and that is really cool. You are doing one mission, but next to you there are a lot of other things happening, and you just have to do what they tell you to do, and eventually everything will work out because these squad leaders, the platoon leaders are talking to each other, and like I said, you are a small part of a bigger unity that is trying to complete as much missions as possible. And almost everybody that I know that went to Berget had the moment where they asked themselves, why am I paying money for this? And this is the moment where if you can like crawl through that, and with the help of the people around you, can move on and make it to that last finish line on the Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that creates an amazing bond between the people because you are lifting each other up, you are building morale for each other, and that is something that is amazing on Berget. I have met some of my best friends during Berget because you are pushed mentally and physically, and you have to help each other to get through that long endurance of the game itself. You're pushing yourself as far as you can go, and that is something that creates a special bond between the people that were there and where you have been playing missions with. Now I went to 5 different Bergets, and they all had different obstacles to overcome. Not one Berget was the same, so I really don't know what next Berget will bring for me, and that is what makes it cool. You don't know what you're going to see or what is going to happen. Yes, you have an idea of you are prepared because you have been to a few different Bergets, but it's special every time and it's different every time. And that makes it a really cool experience to experience Berget every time and every year. Now to sum up, I will give you some numbers. There are 1800 players divided into different teams. It's a 66-hour game where you actually play. There are 40 vehicles, some of them are tracked. It's a 12 square kilometer Swedish woodland that you play in, and the ticket price is 159 euros, depending on what you all buy and when you buy your ticket. And one more thing before I end the video, it's really important that Berget time doesn't equal normal time. You have to be aware if Berget says that they are going to release something within the week, it's never a week. Take about a month or something. It always takes a little bit longer, but it's fine. You get used to it and you start using that while planning before the game. Now I hope that I answered some of the questions about Berget, but if I forgot something, just ask me in the comments and I will try to reply as much as possible. Now I also make a lot of Berget videos on the game itself and what is going on during the game. You can find them all on my channel, and if you don't want to miss them, consider subscribing to the channel. But for now, I'll hope that you will be having an awesome evening or an amazing day depending on when you watch the video, and I'll see you all next week for a new video. Bye!